Hi, I'm Sean King with Action Snowmobile and Redneck Racing, and today we're going to be showing you how to install the Polaris Enhancement Kit on this 2009 Polaris Assault machine. Here with us today is Master Technician Tyler Doucette, and he will be doing all the work to this machine today. So the first thing we'll need to do is access the engine components by opening the hood and removing the side panel. Now with our side panel removed, we'll be removing the factory exhaust, pipe, and canister so we can access the motor, and the coolant hose is located on the right side or the recoil side of the engine. To do this pipe removal, you're going to need two tools. You're going to need a 9/16 inner wrench and your spring removal tool. With these two, you can remove the factory exhaust along with the exhaust gas temperature probe, and you'll be able to remove them from the machine. In our next step, you will need to drain the coolant. We recommend using a siphon pump and draining it back into your antifreeze jug so you can use it later in this process so you don't have to buy any additional antifreeze. You'll need to go ahead and remove your coolant reservoir cap. Use our recommended siphon pump to remove as much coolant as you possibly can from the system before you cut the main coolant line. Next, you'll need to remove the protective mesh coating that's covering the main coolant line going back into the motor. You can do this with a razor knife or a pair of scissors, but be careful, you do not want to cut the coolant line going back into the motor. On the coolant line coming out of the bottle going back into the water pump, you'll need to measure 2.5 inches from the coolant bottle and make your first cut. Once the coolant has been drained from the system, you'll need to measure from your first cut 5 inches and cut and remove that section. Next, you'll need to get your 1-inch hose clamps out of the kit. These will be installed on the ends you just cut, approximately 1.5 inches from the lines. Next, you'll be installing the Polaris Enhancement Kit into the main coolant line with the 5/8" barb fitting facing upward and towards the coolant bottle. When installing the kit in the main coolant line going back into the motor, you'll want to make sure that the 1-inch hose clamps are far enough out of the way that you can install the kit. After installation, go ahead and slide your clamps back over the coolant line ends. Next, we will be removing the factory plug located on the magneto side of the cylinder head. Using a 5/16 Allen wrench, remove the plug from the head just underneath the thermostat housing. Because this is an Assault or a Dragon RMK vehicle without a front heat exchanger, we will be installing the supplied 5/8" barbed fitting along with pipe dope to ensure we don't have any leaks whatsoever. For the next step, we will be installing the bypass line along with the two 5/8" hose clamps supplied in your kit to connect the bypass to the Polaris Enhancement Kit. The best thing to do is to install the two 5/8" clamps over the hose first before you install it in the machine. Next, you will need to install the supplied line from the barb you just installed the head to the Polaris Enhancement Kit bypass side. Finally, you will need to slide the clamps from the center of the line down over each end of the barb fittings. With your Polaris Enhancement Kit fully installed in the vehicle, we will be replacing the factory exhaust back into the machine. Lastly, install the pipe back in, and don't forget to put the factory exhaust gas temp sensor back in with a little bit of anti-seize. Now that you have the factory exhaust back on the machine, we're going to refill the coolant system with coolant you extracted earlier in this process. With the coolant bottle filled, crack the bleeder screw located on top of the thermostat housing to let any excess air out of the system before starting the vehicle. Once coolant starts coming out of the bleeder screw, go ahead and close it back down. After bleeding excess air out of the system, check your coolant levels and add if needed. Once you have done this and brought it back up to the appropriate levels, go ahead and reinstall the coolant reservoir cap. The last step in this procedure is probably the most important, and this is bleeding the cooling system with the machine running. With our factory exhaust installed back on the machine, as much of the air out of the system as possibly can, we're going to go ahead and start this machine and bring it up to its operating temperature of roughly 130 to 140 degrees before cracking the bleeder screw on the cylinder head again. Now with the cooling system completely bled, all you need to do is reinstall the side panel, close your hood, and you're ready to go ride. Thank you from myself, Tyler Doucette, and the rest of the staff here at Redneck Racing. We hope this video has been helpful to you installing this kit on your new machine. If you have any other questions, you can find all of our information at redneckracing.com, and we'll be happy to help you with any other thing that we possibly can. Thank you for your time.